Welcome to Catholic Faith Forum. Tomorrow is the Feast of All Saints, and on Tuesday, we celebrate the Solemnity of All Souls. These two feasts are very important in the life of the church because they help us to remember death, one of the final things, and the others are judgment, heaven, and hell. You know, death is a subject that's often always shrouded in mystery and not very easy to talk about. But May, Nonso, and I will be unpacking some of the fears that you have about death and how we can relate it to our life as Catholics. My name is Chima. When we come back from this short break, we'll be going straight into the gist of the day. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. I have May and Nonso with me, looking all beautiful and ready to...
That's what we do.
No, I don't like May, like, no.
So, what were I saying?
Well, I share the same sentiments because May is a very, fine person that likes to
haters.
Oppress us.
You are
and
haters.
It's not fair.
You are not haters. You're haters.
Haters.
Please. Haters.
Is
please.
there a difference? All right. So yeah, we're talking about a very somber topic today.
Very.
Because we are celebrating the Feast of All Saints tomorrow, and it helps us to remember our loved ones who have gone and people we have to pray for. So this is a very deep topic.
Very deep, actually. Yeah, when you said we were going to be unpacking, and you were like, now we unpacking.
Now we unpack.
In...
Okay, so have you lost someone dear to you, and how did it feel if you have?
I've lost someone, but I've not lost someone dear to me directly. So it's me, my uncle. My uncle passed, and it's gone. And may so rest in peace.
Amen.
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 How about you, May?
I have plenty of people, but the closest to me will be my dad. Yeah, passed away in 2018, February 23rd, 2018. Yeah. So it's still very fresh somehow. But sometimes it still feels like, sometimes you just wake up and you're like, let me go hear his voice. Oh, okay, he's gone. It's true. Okay, you now come back to yourself. That's happened.
So we can say that it actually got you down. Should we say down in the dumps, or you just felt like, what is this life? Or you were like, it don't happen.
My emotions kept fluctuating. When it happened, I think I was in denial for a bit because I was working the day it happened. I was on set. And I didn't leave. I finished what I was doing that day when I got the news. I cried for a bit, and then I went back. I worked. People were looking at me like, who is this weird human being? You're still working. But I was like, okay, he has gone. Me going home to cry about it to just get me more depressed because I'll just be there thinking. Yeah. Even though my friends were around, but I'll just be there thinking. I'm like, let me just do what I need to do. Then I'll go deal with it afterwards. So then at the point, because I was the last born, of course, so everybody expected me to be the one that would break down the most and cry because I was pretty close to him and everything. But I wasn't so broken about it. Yeah, I think I had to accept it. It was not easy, but I realized that people were looking at me to break down, and in a way, I ended up being the one being there for other people when they were breaking down. So it was just a lot.
It was a roller coaster.
But sometimes it hits you randomly out of nowhere. It
always does. Even in my case, I lost my own dad when I was very young, and at that point in time,
how old were you then?
I was like 7 or 8. I can't remember.
Wow, that was pretty young.
Yeah, so half the time I didn't know why people were crying. Okay, I know that somebody has died, but
it didn't hit you.
But did you understand what was happening?
I done the guest sense small.
Did they tell you that thing about daddy has gone to heaven?
Or he has traveled?
He has traveled.
But I had friends, because I grew up in a boarding house, so I had friends that would come to school and tell us that, my daddy traveled. I was like, okay, so when is he coming back? Like, he's never coming. He's not coming. My mom said he's not going to come back again. And how they told them, when I was in GSS1, I remember I knew some people who used to say that. So is that something that parents should tell their children, or should allow them to embrace this thing right from when they're young?
From my experience, I think it's best we understand it from when we're young. Because growing up, as I began to understand fully the concept of death, I was like, wow, so I'm going to live most of my life without this man in my life, no father figure and all of that. And then having to come to terms with the fact that I have to literally, because of our Nigerian society as it was then, have to raise myself as a man and everything. So it was a bit confusing. So I think that it's best that if anybody loses people when they are young, maybe they should just try and prepare them small, so that when they grow up, they will not scatter.
So you think children should be introduced to the concept of death
little by little. It's very tough.
It's tough. They might not understand it, but I think it's better for you to explain to them, because it's nice for them to know that, daddy has gone to heaven.
You can use analogies like, this cat,
when you say daddy has traveled, But when you say daddy has traveled, they feel like he's
will
going
come
to
back
come back. You
eventually.
understand? So even if they are telling their friends, like, oh, my daddy went to America and my mom said he's going to come back soon. Meanwhile, he's not coming back.
What do you think about people making resolutions? You know, there are some people who say that, okay, my dad has died, so I'm going to build a school in his name and all of that. What do you think about such resolutions? Do you think it helps them to come to terms better with the person's passing?
I think people cope with death in different ways. There are no two ways to deal with it. Like the way you handle your father's death, the way is different from the way I handled my father's death. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to build anything. I might eventually, but it's not something that I'll say is a resolution. I just told myself I'm going to live my life the way he would have wanted me to live it. I'm going to make him proud. So when he's smiling down at me, he's seeing me like, that's my daughter.
I think
that's
a resolution.
Nice. Yeah, it is.
I think
you're talking about people like maybe building
like monuments
or doing something extra.
For me, I think it's
a two-way thing for me. So it has its own bad side and good side. I don't want to use the word bad. Maybe the side that makes you break down and the side that makes you remember the person and just smile that, oh, this person lived a good life.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you want to do that to someone who oppressed you or who treated you badly. You want to do that to someone who treated you nicely at some point.
Who left behind good memories.
And left good memories. So you want to remember the person is a memory for you. So it's just like keeping a part of that person somewhere so that whenever you look back, you remember and say, oh, this person was here and this person impacted my life in a very good way. So I think it's
like
good.
I always feel emotional when I see like hospitals dedicated to someone who has passed on, and maybe like a leukemia, this thing you see named after a person. I always feel, okay, this is a way for that person to live on in other people's lives and be remembered for the little that they were able to do before they passed on. So it's nice. So, but it just depends on how you want to cope with it. But I think it's a good thing.
There are some that you see and you'll be upset. You'll be wondering that why did they do this kind of thing?
All right. Speaking of you and how you cope with death and all of that, it's a constant reminder in a way that you will die one day. You will leave this world one day.
Yes.
So, do you think it's actually a good practice for somebody to live their life every day like it's their last, as people like to say? Do you think we have to live with the consciousness that one day we'll die?
It's good to live with consciousness, but don't live recklessly. Because a lot of people use that
as an excuse
to live their lives in any way. Like you just say, oh, today's YOLO, so you only die tomorrow, and then you go about doing things. I've heard of people who took shots of tequila. If they had over 40 shots, and then he died immediately because he was thinking in his mind, he would have been thinking
happy birthday to him.
He might be thinking in his mind that, you only live once, I can only try this once. But then you are living once to kill yourself. So you can always live your life consciously and cautiously.
The one that scares me the most are those people that call themselves risk takers. Oyibo people now
that they go and jump from one place. I'm like, God, whose child is this? Where is your mother?
Hey, I think those people just like.
See, if they have African mothers, they will not try that thing. When your mother will call you.
And sometimes I feel they don't have anybody close to them. Rather, they engage in these extreme sports. You see someone going to a skyscraper and he's jumping. Why, please? For who? Why are you jumping?
There are thrill seekers, but I think it's best that if you want to live your life with that consciousness, try as much as possible to make sure that you are living your life not recklessly. You are living your life in a way that pleases God. That also is in service to people around you,
and then to yourself. Take care of yourself. That's
exactly
the thing.
Because if you don't take care of yourself,
who will?
Exactly. All right, we've been having a nice conversation, but we're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll be looking at grief. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Nonso and May and I have been seriously unpacking on this issue about death, sharing our honest thoughts with you in preparation for All Saints and All Souls Day. Now we're going to be looking specifically at the topic of grief. You know, people grieve in several ways. Some people say you can't tell people how to grieve, but do you think there's actually a, over the top or under the top way of grieving?
There's over the top, there's definitely over the top. I know some people that will just shut themselves out, lock themselves in a place. No, they won't eat, they won't drink, they won't speak to anybody for a week plus. That's not healthy in any way. That's almost you going to go and join the person.
That's extreme.
It's extreme.
And it's all like me. I don't know, but I don't think I know how to show my emotions, especially when it comes to that. I remember you asked me if I've lost somebody. Thinking about it now, I've lost people, but then maybe extended family, not people very close to me, and then the closest to me was my uncle that I spoke about, and then my grandma, and my grandpa. So within that period of time, I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what I should feel exactly, because for me, it's always like a new kind of feeling, a new terrain for me. So I don't know how to.
That's where there's a fine, should I say fine line or a thick line? Because like I said when I was asking this question, you don't really know how, you can't really tell people how to grieve. You understand? Even though they are very unhealthy, we understand that there are unhealthy ways to grieve, but you can't really tell them. For that person, locking himself or herself may just be
the only
way they can process it.
You know,
but it's not healthy. That's what I mean. It's an extreme way. The people, they won't cry. Because of people, they won't cry.
And then you will now see people tell you, why are you not crying?
Why are you not crying? There's people that they beat them to cry.
Imagine.
So that they have to cry. But it's actually good to actually let the emotion out, because sometimes if some people holding that emotion, the day to explode, it's not going to be a healthy kind of explosion.
At all.
There's some that they will be calm. Then the day of the burial, they will now jump into the coffin and wail and almost follow the person that is going.
Because I think for them, it seems very unreal. They are
Till
still
that
trying to accept that fact that the person is no longer. Because even when I think about, my grandma lived with me the most time before she passed. So then when I wake up in the morning, I expect to see her praying a rosary by the bedside. And then there's nobody there. So what comes to mind first of all is, I'm not seeing this woman again. And when she was there, I remember we used to complain, she will do this one, I'll bathe her, I'll do everything, I'll clip her nails, her toenails, I'll do this. And it was complaining at first. And then later I wished I was doing that again. She was no longer there. And then the day of her burial, when we were there, I didn't even cry. I was just looking like, so this person is going down 6 feet. And
you're contemplating.
No longer. My sister just turned. At first, we were all gisting. I just saw someone's face very red and she was crying. I said, why are you crying exactly? She said, because she saw my auntie cry, that she's crying too. So you can see grief sometimes can pass from one person to another person. By the time you watch someone grieving, you'll be like, oh, this person is going through a lot. Let me just follow the
So is there a way to, prepare yourself for, we all know, you will die. People will die. You will lose loved ones. Yep. You may go before the person that is you consider as very special to you. So is there a way to prepare yourself for such a situation? Like in the case of your grandma, from what I can understand, she was not too healthy before she passed on with your aunt. So how did you prepare yourself for the occasion that she passed on?
The truth is, I don't think you ever get prepared for, you ever get prepared to lose someone, because at the back of your mind, there's always something that tells you that the person will make it through. Even if you just hope. Yeah, there's always this hope you cling on to. Even if you get to a point where the doctors have told you there's nothing we can do. I've heard of stories where people say, after doctor said there's nothing we can do, something still happened and the person is still alive today. So I don't think you can, for me, I don't know if me has another formula, but for me, I don't think I can ever get prepared to lose somebody. It's just a state of mind that I will find myself after I've lost the person. It's just for me to know that, okay, when it's gone, understand that the person is gone, not that I will now be in denial.
I like that. Understanding is actually a way to prepare yourself for grief.
Yeah. There's no way you can actually prepare yourself for someone's death, because no matter how sick a person is, or no matter how it looked like it's coming soon, when it happens, it still hits you that it has happened. There's a finality to death that just makes it, this is final. Like there's no, let's try this other method, let's try something. And sometimes death comes so suddenly.
Exactly.
Untimely accidents.
I had
that it just throws
like
you.
There's a friend of mine that told me a story about his uncle. Uncle was not feeling well and he went to the hospital. So the uncle just told him, okay, go downstairs and get me something. And he was just telling him that he wished he never left.
Oh, wow.
Immediately he left.
If his uncle was about telling him something, like, let me tell you something, like, I know, let me go and get the other person at the gate. Exactly. Let me go and get the other person at the gate to join us here. As soon as he left,
the uncle left
with the person and came upstairs, he just saw that they were wailing. Wow. Everybody was crying already. Then he said, till date, he still regrets it. Tell me that he regrets leaving that hospital.
So he didn't hear those final words.
At least there were phones by then. Please find your way to this place. He would have just waited, but he just went to get the other person. And getting back there, his uncle was gone.
Well, grief is a very tricky topic when we're considering the issue of death, and we just hope that at the very least people can find solace in the fact that God is there for them at all times. Whenever you lose someone, you have God, you have the church, you have the sacraments where you can go and seek help, you can go and seek strength so that you can carry on your journey of life. Now tell me, how would you like to spend your last moments on earth?
in my bed at a very ripe old age. Not too old that I'm becoming a burden to other people, of course, but a ripe old age in my bed surrounded by people that I love.
That's a bit cliche, but
Well, the way for me, classic example is my great grandpa. My mom said he woke up, polished his shoes,
Wow.
brushed his hair, everything, did everything, was on, like he prepared
Wow.
himself for death. Like he just wanted to look good because according to what my mom used to tell me, was a very organized person.
Oh.
So he made sure he laid his bed, had his body, did everything, talked to his wife, gisted and everything, smiled and laid down
and went.
went.
So that means his spirit to wake up and look pink for the angel that will come.
Like-
That's how it is. That's how we roll.
Like he wanted to be paid.
That's a classic
So for me, I
example.
think that's what I want to do. Not like I would. Of course, I want to live my life in such a way that if I'm living, I'm not wondering, oh, why am I going by this time? Do you understand? So I want to live my life in such a way that I feel that satisfaction. When I don't even have, even if my family members are not there, although I want them to be there anyway. So I will share that you share the most experiences you should have with them at this point in time when you are alive, so that on your deathbed you won't be wishing they were there because you already have a lot of experiences and memories with them. You understand? So I want to live my life in such a way that I'm so happy to even go. So I'm at peace with God and at peace with men. So
Have you ever had this strange feeling that a lot of older people know when they're going to die?
I don't think it's only old people. I don't think it's only old people.
Yeah,
it's mostly old people though.
But most of
them. But a lot of people have said stuff about their brother or sister saying something they heard that they were about to go and stuff.
Like death came and said, by next tomorrow.
Well, for me, it's the same thing basically. I think I just want to, as much as possible, not be a burden to anybody first. And secondly, be at peace with everything that I've done on this earth. And anyhow I go. Except accidents, I beg. That's very scary. All right, when we come back from this short break, we'll be looking at the Feast of All Saints and how it started in the church. Stay with us. Welcome back. We'll be looking at our honest thoughts about death in preparation for All Saints and All Souls Day. Now, we're going to talk about the Saints of the Week, which is All Saints, as we already know. Tomorrow is the Feast of All Saints, and basically the church instituted this celebration so that we can celebrate every saint, both canonized and uncanonized. As far as they made the heavenly race, as far as they finished their heavenly race successfully, they are celebrated on All Saints Day. But how did this celebration come to be? The church, through Pope Boniface IV, on May 13th in the year 609, instituted this feast so that we can remember our brothers and sisters who have attained heaven, celebrate them, and ask them for their intercession so that we here on earth can live the kind of lives they lived. You know, the heavenly race is not easy now, so we need all their prayers and support from there so that we, the church militants, can fight our battle and make it to the end. Although the observance of the day uses the known saints as its basis, the St. Michael's, the St. Gabriel's, the St. Dominic's, the St. Brendan's, and all of them, it uses those saints as their basis. It also celebrates every single person who has completed the heavenly race. It also serves to remind us here, the church militants, that this is not our final stop, that we should try as much as possible to keep being saints in jeans and shirts. Now we'll move over to Collins for today's episode of Know Your Faith. Stay with us.
Thank you very much, Chima. Hello guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Know Your Faith series. Now, on today's episode, we'll be talking about something that is very common amongst us Christians. It's saying there's this thing that people say when they are comparing the Old Testament and the New Testament, and they go, oh, no, that's the God of the Old Testament. Or no, God cannot do like that. That's the way he used to do before. This is the one in the New Testament, I know. And if you check it, it's usually as a result of selective reading. So people feel like there's the God of the Old Testament and then there's the God of the New Testament. But on today's episode of Know Your Faith series, we're going to really look in depth and try to understand whether it's possible that God actually changed. Now, the Bible is actually very clear about the unchanging nature of God. And we see this in James chapter 1, verse 17, which says that every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. So St. James there is already telling us that there's no way God can change. And then again, we see in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 8, says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So a lot of people will read the Old Testament and see, God of violence. If you do anyhow, will strike you down. And that's the way. And this is mainly because of the popular stories that we seem to pick up from the Old Testament. And those were situations of people facing God's wrath. And then contrast now to the New Testament, we see a lot of, God is loving, God is love, and all this. But it's very, very clear. And we see this in the New Testament in 1 John chapter 4, verse 8, which clearly says that God is love. But does it mean that he's only, kind of like your grandparents kind of stuff, where even if you do wrong, they'll never actually correct you? Now, this is wrong. Because if we check it, even in Acts of the Apostles, chapter 5, verse 1 to 11, consider the story of Ananias and Sapphira. So if we check their story, they were wrong and they actually faced the wrath of God. And it's not just them. We can see it also in the New Testament. We can see where even Jesus himself warns his apostle. He says in Luke chapter 12, verse 5, "But I will warn you whom to fear. Fear him who after he has killed, has authority to cast you into hell. Yes, I tell you, fear him." So he's talking about God, despite the fact that he has told the apostles already that, Jesus is, God is love and is all caring. But he also reminds them to try as much as possible to avoid the wrath of God. On the other hand, when we go to the Old Testament, we think that it's a whole lot of violence. God is giving everybody bas bows, and all those kind of stuff. But if you actually check it, there's so many places in the Old Testament where we see that God is still the same. And we see in Psalm 103, verse 8 to 10, in Exodus 34, verse 6 to 7, the Old Testament describes God as a merciful and gracious God, slow to anger, abundant in love. And also in Exodus, we see that it says he does not deal with us according to our iniquities. Imagine that God decided to actually deal with us according to the way we sin. Just think about it. So it's very, very wrong to assume that, okay, the Old Testament had a different God and that one was God of, if you do anyhow, I'll change it for you. And then in the New Testament, it's only love, love, love. The truth is this, that the grace of God can be traced. You can even trace the grace of God back to the Old Testament, as we see in the New Testament. So it's everywhere. People who have faced the wrath of God have also been able to also face the other side of the coin. That's the love of God. And we see in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 4, where the prophet writes, "Behold, his soul is puffed up. It is not upright within him, but the righteous shall live by faith." There he's talking about the fact that although that we are sinners, this is in the Old Testament, and he's saying that although we are sinners, we still have that grace in God to try and still have that, constant communication with him. And it is probably common knowledge, and we can see that all authors in the Bible would probably agree that God's love and judgment are just two sides of the same coin. So it's not about saying the Old Testament was God of this and New Testament is God of this. No, God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So they're the idea. Okay, that's the way they used to do in the Old Testament. Yes, we agree that Jesus did come and he gave us just two commandments, love yourself, love your neighbor. But if you actually check it, it's just a summary of the 10 commandments. So it's the same thing. Jesus did not come to say, we're changing everything, forget what God has told you, this is now the new way. No, he was only trying to, highlight the key points and just to summarize, just so we can understand. So there is no God of Old Testament and God of New Testament. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So thank you very much for joining us, and let's go back to the guys on CFF.
Thank you, Collins, for that beautiful episode of Know Your Faith. And I hope everybody has been able to pick one or two things from what Collins shared with us in Know Your Faith. And that's all the time we have on today's episode of Catholic Faith Forum. Me, Nonso, and I have been unpacking our honest thoughts about death. Why does that work?
Such a large box.
Such a large box.
We never pack and finish.
As
Well,
in-
there's actually quite a lot to unpack. So make sure you join us this Tuesday on our Twitter page for our CFF chat room where the conversation will continue. The question for this week is, what are your honest thoughts about death? Share it with us, and use the hashtag CFF chat room so that we can monitor your replies. Also, don't forget that this episode will be up on our YouTube channel, Dominican Media Presents, where you can also watch past episodes of the show. And also remember, please support CFF so that we can keep bringing you great content. You can call the number on your screen and also visit the website dominicanmedia.com.ng for more information on how you can be a part of the production of this very wonderful show. Until we come your way next time with another beautiful episode of the show.
Keep being saints in jeans and shirts.